Chodesh Tov, everybody. We are moments away before Aleph Elul starts, so we're starting our new journey. And yesterday I gave a little introduction about the mind frame that we have to have before we start. I mean, I think it would be too much right now to really do an overview of what we're going to do. I think it's also irrelevant. I think better just to do. But yesterday I started explaining really why Rosh Chodesh Elul till Yom Kippur, what's so special about that time, and why we have to take advantage of the time, and why you need to know when to strike the iron while it's hot. And I just talked without giving the actual what we do. So we kind of made like a quick introduction without the action. So today, now I want to go quickly over what is going to be the actual action. Not so easy to do, but that's the approach. And I told you yesterday that what we're going to do is we have to make a change, a real change. Because if not, that's not real Teshuvah. Real Teshuvah is real change, and that's really what we're going to learn in the next 40 days, how to make a change. Because, not too long ago, somebody saw me from my past, and they were like, that's a total different person. And I said, I'm actually the exact same person, but yeah, you're kind of right, it's a different person. That's a change. When it's two different people, when you put the before and after and you're saying, that's a change. Okay, and of course the desire and the aim is that the change should be for the good, not worse. So yesterday we spoke about that the bottom line is it has to be a change. That's what we're going to learn. Now I want to more shed some light, touch a little bit the approach, then starts the hard work. So I explained that in the month of Elul, all the way to Yom Kippur, there's a very special shine, a he'ara, an enlightenment in the universe, only because the Kadosh Baruch Hu goes out of his chamber and he's more accessible, and it's more easy to reach, so to say. This is more in a metaphorical way that the king is in the field, he's more accessible, but spiritually what happens is that the illuminator comes out of a certain shield. So now the illumination, the he'ara, is much, much greater. What is this he'ara? That's the energy that is going to affect me. Okay, you can call it any way you want, but there's going to be a huge change in the energy of the world. And I will, when we conclude, I'll explain another thing. If I forget, remind me to add that. But the way it works, very briefly, we spoke about that many times, I just want to elaborate on that, is that there's always going to be a relationship between or and a kli, a light and a vessel. And the light is there. And it's not a light coming from a light bulb. Light comes from the word in Hebrew, he'ara, an enlightenment. The enlightenment is there. Now it depends on the kli, on the vessel, how it will accept that light. Hashem is shining His infinite light into the universe with not asking you if you're ready for it or not. He's shining it. The same thing the sun now is shining. I can close the window and block the sun. I can open the window, accept the light of the sun, but the sun is there whether I want it or not. I'm asleep, I'm awake. It doesn't matter. Kadosh Baruch Hu is shining a light, a spiritual light into the world. And now it depends on me if I'm ready to accept it and in what way. This is called he'ara, enlightenment. What I need to do in order to apply a change is I need to fit myself to the light. The term in Hebrew, le'at'im et atzmi le'he'ara. The light is coming from here, I need to position myself. It's almost like you go to the beach. Remember those days? Then the sun shines on you, and then you want a good tan. So you turn around where the sun is to get the tan, right? And you don't go under the shade, you're not going to get any tan. Same thing here. The light is coming down very intense, and I have to reshape myself. I have to position myself in a way that I will be affected by this he'ara. Now, I know it's not so clear what I'm saying now. I'll explain now. I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. So I told you there's going to be 3 stages that we're going to have to go through. If we pass the first one, that's it. We're on the right track. We don't pass the first one, and many don't pass the first one, by the way, then the second and third is nothing even to talk about. But before we define what is the first stage, I have to understand that we just learned now in the last parasha in Re'eh that there are 2 options to choose from. There's a blessing and there's a curse. It's not or. There is a blessing and there's a curse. It's not that you choose one or the other. They both exist. And with that also the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Uvacharta batov, you choose good. What did you really choose? Uvacharta b'chaim. You chose life. So he's comparing good to life. Life in Hebrew is chaim. Now, I will say it in Hebrew, then I'll translate and explain. It says, "Hachaim shenimshachim el ha'adam, hu moshech otam." The life that will come to me, that will affect me, I pull them towards me. It's not that there's some type of energy in the air which will decide how my life will be. Rather, by my actions, I will pull energy into my life. And this energy, we'll call it now chaim, life. And again, hachaim, this energy, nimshachim el adam, they're being pulled to the person, or like a magnet, attracted, the person pulls them. Easiest way to explain it, I do something bad will come to me. That's how it works. My analogy is you bang your head at the wall, you're going to get a headache. That's how it works. You did a foolish act, there's going to be a repercussion. There's going to be a consequence. So I pull towards me life. Now life, what is the definition of life? How much, I'm talking about in a Kabbalistic level, how much light will penetrate into the vessels? That's life. I have physical and spiritual vessels. How much light will come into these vessels? What is the opposite of life? Uvacharta bara, the Torah says you choose bad, you choose mavet, you choose death. What is death? That the light goes out of the kli, that the light goes out of the vessel. That's how it is. And this is a very lofty idea in the teachings of Kabbalah, but we're going to simplify it. Now, the way it works, this is one of the foundations of the teachings of Kabbalah, is that ha'or mekabel tzurat hakli. The light will reform itself to the shape of the vessel. To simplify that, here is a cup. The cup is the vessel. Now inside the cup there's water. Now what makes the water right now round? The vessel. The water doesn't have a shape. I'll pour now the water out, we'll just pour over the table. So what makes the water now in a shape of a circle is the kli, is the vessel. So I pour water into the vessel. Let's say hypothetically I will now freeze it and the water will come out of the cup in the shape of the cup. So, to say it again, or mekabel tzurat hakli. The light fits itself to the shape of the vessel. Now what is the vessel in my life? There's many ways to approach it. And I will simplify everything that I'm saying now. I just have to kind of lay down some type of a foundation. What is the kli, this vessel that we're referring to right now, is my wills and my desires as I spoke about it yesterday. Remember I told you that most people, their will and their desire is not the right will. Their will or their desire is to eat, to sleep, to procreate, to enjoy physical activities. That's not the will of the neshama. Neshama wants to sit here right now and learn Torah for 10 hours. So I need to align my desire to the desire of the soul, which ultimately is the ratzon, is the will, the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the kli right now is the desire, the Kabbalistic term to it is ratzon lekabel. My desire to take. Because we come to this world and we want to take. If you ever notice a baby, when the baby is born, their hands are like that. Why? Because they come to take from the world. And a person that dies, always dies with her hand open. Why? Because you don't take nothing physical from this world. You can take many spiritual things, but nothing physical. So pay attention to that next time you're in a birthing center. Babies are born with their hands closed like fists, to represent that I came to take from this world. But a person who dies, the hands are always open, because you don't take nothing but your Torah, your mitzvot, and your good deeds. So I'm constantly controlled by what I want to take from this world. And this will be translated, as I explained yesterday, I don't want to elaborate on that, with my desires, my inclinations, my habits, my addictions. And now I got to get rid of all these things, because I'm not going to be able to do a change if I'm still stuck on the things in this world. Whether it's food, whether it's sleeping, procreating, physical pleasures, distorted ideas, not to be able to control my desires, my inclinations, my anger, my jealousy. And we all we have an abundance of all of these things. But to make a change, I have to get rid of all this. So right now, the ratzon, the kli, is my desire to take from this world. You have to be honest with yourself. You would want to now have a nice vacation, drive a nice car, eat juicy and delicious food, with everything that comes with a vacation, nightclubs, beaches, whatever. Everybody has their thing. But really, if somebody would let you loose right now for a month and say it's okay, what's going to happen if you get some type of a coupon from the Kadosh Baruch Hu says you can do whatever you want now for a month? But we don't, because we know it's wrong deep down in our hearts. So I have a kli that needs to be rinsed, washed, and the term to it is levarer, means to sift all the dirt from the kli. And this kli is called haratzon lekabel, my desire to accept and to take from this world. Now with that said, I know it's maybe a little bit sometimes hard to grasp, which what I said now is pretty simple. But our sages explained to us that in the month of Elul, and I said that yesterday in length, I don't want to repeat myself. If you didn't, if you weren't here, then the class is online. In the month of Elul, what can happen here is a drastic change. And not only a drastic change, a very huge change that you can completely change your kli in the month of Elul, what you're not going to be able to do throughout the year so easily. Now, just to make one point clear, you can do anything that I'm telling you now at any given day in the year, but it's not going to come so easy like Elul. You can do Teshuvah at any given moment, and you can do everything that I'm talking about now in any day of the year. But in the month of Elul, it's 90% coupon, 90% off. Easy, just grab it. So the potential of the month of Elul is to make a huge change in my life. What is that huge change? New life. It's a whole new life. Now let's stop for a second the class, and we'll go to my own personal life, because that's the easiest way for me to explain certain things. If I look now 20 years back, that's a total different person. Look different, ate different, thought different, behaved different, everything was different. I'm the same human being. Some things stayed the same. I still have the same favorite color. That didn't change. And I still like certain things, same sense of humor, same sense in style or fashion. Some things are still the same. But in the overall, it's a total different person. Thinking different, talking different, behaving different, everything is different. That's a shinui mahuti, a change in the essence, a change that came from so deep in the root that it's a completely different individual. Now, did that come so easy? No. Kadosh Baruch Hu squeezed the juice out of my kishkes to get to that point. But let's jump out of the 20-year timeline. Look at Alon Anava when he was 25. Alon Anava when he's 45. It's two different Alons. Completely two different individuals. So what is the potential of the month of Elul? Is to make a change in the vessel. Now, why do I want to change the vessel? Because I told you before that the light adapts itself to the shape of the vessel. Now, if my vessel is different, obviously the light will be different. How would that affect me that the light is different? My life will be blessed in a completely different way. With all the troubles that we're about to experience now with the coming of Mashiach. Some people will go through it like a walk in the park. It's not going to affect them in any type of a way. Some people will. So I need to focus on what am I doing in the month of Elul. Now, I want to reshape my vessels that they can accept the new light that is coming in the next coming year. New light, different light, more light. And again, the light is not a light from a light bulb. Rather, we'll call it now, to simplify things, the blessing of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's it. Now, the first thing that needs to be is a change in my behavior. If my behavior will not change, nothing will change. Now, in order to have a change in my behavior, it has to be real. It has to be real change, not like a lot of people talk in theory. But when it comes to doing something, tomorrow, the next day. So the first and most important is a change in my behavior, but it has to be real. Now the way for me to change my behavior is to go to a different place. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu, when he came to Egypt, what did he say? You want to be free? You don't want to be slaves to Paro anymore? You want to be slaves to the master of the universe? You want to change? We got to take you out of Mitzrayim. You cannot do Teshuvah in Mitzrayim. I have to take you out. Why? Because I cannot change in the place where I am. Some people still tell me that. You know, just a week ago I spoke to somebody, like I told you, somebody that from my past met me, and he asked me, you really you don't have any desire to do this and that anymore? And I was like, no. Anyways, he's like, but you can kind of live like life. You can still go and have fun, right? And do this and do that. I tell them you cannot do Teshuvah in a nightclub. It's not going to work. You cannot do Teshuvah when you're stuck in the same place. You have to uproot yourself from the place where you're doing bad things. Then you can do Teshuvah. So in our history, Moshe Rabbeinu had to take the Jews out of Mitzrayim. You cannot do Teshuvah in Mitzrayim. I have to take you out of there. And what was the real result? That only 20% went out. 80% did not have the mind frame of making a change. No, I'm good here. No, you're not good here. You're just too lazy for a change. So at the time of Egypt, 80% stayed in Egypt for many different reasons. But the main thing is they weren't willing to accept that they can now experience a change. Because it requires a lot of hard work. So 80% said, I'll stay in Mitzrayim. It's fine. And only 20% says, okay, I will go with this leader that will take me out of my Mitzrayim, out of my spiritual exile or my spiritual jail, and then I will be free. So in order for me to follow what we're about to do now for the next 40 days, you got to go out of your Mitzrayim. Now, it's not going to be so easy, but there has to be a huge change in your mind and right away with your behavior. And I'll give you another example. Again, I'm going to try to simplify this as much as possible. I used to be a very heavy smoker. Of cigarettes I'm talking about right now. But I smoked for many, many years. And at some point I wanted to quit smoking. I knew it's not healthy for me. And you know, talk is cheap. You quit smoking for 3 hours, then you take another cigarette. And you quit for 1 day, then you take the next cigarette. Or you start the quitting and says, if I'll have like a weak moment, then I'll take a cigarette. No, you're not quitting to smoke. And you know, when I quit smoking, when there was a switch in the mind, I'm quitting. So that's a change in the behavior. With the difficulties, with everything. But there's a switch in your mind. Now, you know when most people quit smoking? In the ambulance. When they have the air on their nose, they know, okay, that's it, I'm out. So, okay, I'll quit. That's when people when the toda'ah, the knowledge sinks down. No, you can't wait for that. So the change has to be right away, immediate, and mainly in my behavior. And don't worry, we're gonna have a nice journey now for 40 days. This is not something you just do like that, by the way. And like I said before, and it's not to chas v'shalom ridicule anyone, not many are able to do that transformation. Many get stuck on stage one over and over and over, like cranking a car. That can take 10 years. But one of the reasons of why I see people failing, because there's no guidance. Moshe Rabbeinu took the nation of Israel out of Mitzrayim. There was a guide who told them, don't do, don't. So we don't have so much of this guide. But anyways, the key to this change is to understand that I'm in the wrong place. If you understand that you're in the wrong place, 90% of the cure is already there. Because most people live in denial. No, I'm fine. I'm fine talking Lashon Hara all day long. I pray 3 times a day. And I eat kosher. At least I think I eat kosher. But talking Lashon Hara? No, that's fine. If you don't understand that you're in a bad place, you're not going to ever change anything. So you need to first start understanding, and the idea is to start resonating with you. I'm not in a good place. Who am I kidding? I can't control my mouth. I can't control my thoughts. I can't control my behavior. You'll never do teshuvah if you don't understand that you're in a bad place. So if you're in a state of denial, it's not going to work. Not too long ago, there's a certain individual has a problem with alcohol. Some event happened, and somebody interfered that we know, and he said, listen, I'll help this individual. We have a rehab center. I'll give him a whole year for free. But he has to pay for the plane ticket to come there. And I spoke with the person, and I told him, listen, we're going to help you. We're going to help you, first of all, financially. You're going to get a free rehab for a whole year. It's one of the best rehabs in the world. And his answer, of course, was, I don't have a problem. Okay, so you're right. You have a serious problem. Because if you're still in the state of denial, I can't help you. So maybe I'll help you when we'll find you in some dumpster with a knife in your back, or maybe a bullet somewhere, or I don't know, maybe jail. I don't know, or maybe you'll run somebody over. Chas v'shalom, be sitting in jail now for 30 years for manslaughter. Maybe then you'll wake up. But if a person is in denial, not you, nobody else is going to help him. And if you're in denial, then it's almost a lost case. So the first step, the key, and this is really what we need to focus on today and the next few days before we really start our journey, is the key. There's a gate. You're going to have to cross that gate. Like Moshe Rabbeinu told the nation, I will lead you out of Mitzrayim, but I can't make you go out of Mitzrayim. I'm here to lead you out. I'll show you the way. You follow me. Right? Like they say in the Israeli army. A good commander says, all right, after me. You give example. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I will lead the way. I can't force you to go out of Mitzrayim. So 80% said, thank you so much, and stayed behind. 20% says, okay, I will follow you. That's it. So we're going to have to go through this gate, through this door, call it passage, call it however you want. So I think it was even said in the Matrix, I will take you to the door, but you have to cross it, right? Something like that. So the key, forget about the door right now. Let's first figure out what's the key. I think there's another scene like that also in the Matrix, no? The guy with all the keys. Yeah. So there's many doors, but now figure out which key opens which door. So the door is that we have to go out of our own prison. Now you have a bunch of keys. And the key to go out of your own prison is to understand that you are in a prison. You know that New York, I'll give you an example, and I don't want to sidetrack from our topic. But New York, how many people are there? 7 million, 8 million, 9 million? I don't even know, however you count, which boroughs you count. There's probably about, let's make it round, 10 million people. You know that New York is the most sophisticated jail in the world. It was designed as a jail. And why is it sophisticated? Because the sophisticated jail is that the inmates don't realize that they're in a jail. And they like it so much, they don't want to leave. And that's the mastermind behind a city like New York. It's a jail. You can't leave. And you know why you're not going to leave? Because you're convinced you're in the best place in the world. And you don't even know that you are in a jail. That's how smart the brain behind the plan. So this is the problem with most of us. That the Yetzer Hara, he already convinced you a long time ago that you're a toll-free individual. You're not in any type of a jail. But most of us are in a spiritual and even in a physical, not a physical jail behind bars, but we're all in jail in one way or another. But you have to understand, the key is to understand that you're in a very bad place. And I'm talking about myself too, and don't think that you are not in a bad place, by the way. That's already a very refined level of denial. We're all in a bad place because I still have bad thoughts. And I still have desire that is forbidden for all sorts of things. And I still have all sorts of needs and all sorts of thoughts that are not parallel to the desire of the master of the universe. So I'm still in a bad place. Don't live in denial. That's going to be your stumbling block, that you'll never leave your jail. You have to understand that I'm not in a good place. That calls for a change. If you do not get to that point, it's not going to work for you. Stay where you are. I don't know if we're going to be able to help you, but that's the key. So I'm going to say it again till it's drilled very deep in your mind. I have to understand that I'm in the wrong place. Even though you can say, what am I talking about? I'm in a beautiful shul. I learn Torah every day. I come to 3 minyanim every day. I do this and it's okay, so what? But you still, you half of the body is in the swamp and the top part of the body is out. But the legs are still in the swamp. You're still stuck. And maybe I'm not saying every individual. I don't know each and one personally. Some people might say, listen, I'm already 20 years into this. I'm already out of the swamp. But the reality is that, when you finish doing your teshuvah, the last breath in this world, that's when you finish doing your teshuvah. So till the last moment of your life in this world, you're still doing teshuvah, means that you're still not in the best place. Now, if I'm in the wrong place, if I have to understand I'm in the wrong place. Now again, to simplify it, for one person the wrong place is that he's addicted to gambling. And gambling, by the way, I don't know if you're familiar with that. A lot of people are very into gambling. It's an addiction that Hashem Yerachem, it ruins lives. People sell their houses. Hashem Yerachem, they get involved with the mafia just to put another bet. This is a very strong addiction. This is a bad place. Everything else can be great. I know people who pray 3 times a day, eat kosher, observe Shabbat. They do the whole thing, but they're addicted to pornography. Are you in a good place? No, you're not. You have 98% good, but the 2%, which is more like, if this is your addiction, then it's more like 80% bad and 20% but you're in a bad place. Don't live in denial that you're in a good place. You are not. You are trying. You're working hard. You're putting a lot of effort. But if you're still stuck in some type of an addiction, you're in a bad place. You're in the wrong place. Let me rephrase it. You're in the wrong place. So the suit doesn't mean anything, not the yarmulke, not the hair, not the beard. I'm not saying what you're doing is bad, by the way. Don't get discouraged by saying, if you just said now that 80% is bad because I have one fault. No. I'm just saying you're in the wrong place. You want to get rid of it. Whether it's cigarettes, gambling, whatever it is. Now, this is just different habits that can be external. How about if a person can't control his anger? Everything gets set like that. That's another type of problem you need to deal with. Being judgmental, having thoughts of being jealous. I mean, there's a lot. We're going to go through this through the entire month and a half now. But the key, we need to start, is to understand that I'm in the wrong place. Now, if I'm in the wrong place, but I know that, you already have 80-90% of the solution. If you're in the wrong place and you don't know that, then Hashem Yerachem. Hashem should have a lot of mercy on you and us and all together. There's nothing wrong, there is, but I'll rephrase it. There's nothing wrong with being in the wrong place, because we're all in the wrong place, as long as you understand that you're in the bad place. And there's going to be now effort, and now we'll start the hard work, because you're going to go like a yo-yo. 1 day in, 1 day out. 2 days in, 3 days out. But you know the whole time, I'm in the wrong place. I have to work on myself. That's why I told you that the first stage of all 3 is the hardest. Now, where does the change start? When I understand clearly what's good, what's bad. End the story. You didn't understand that yet, you're not going to make any change. I'll say it again. When is the real change start? Is when you differentiate good, bad. End the story. If you have a long beard like me and a nice yarmulke and you pray 3 times a day and you observe Shabbat and you have a pile of mitzvot, but you speak Lashon Hara, good, bad. You need to make a distinction. Lashon Hara, bad. Most people that speak Lashon Hara, they do not understand. It's bad. It's prohibited. You're killing your soul. You are damaging the depth of your root of your soul to a point that you might not going to be able to ever fix it. Good, bad. Has to be a definition. In our modern day, tags. You tag things. This is bad. Now, if you do not understand how bad certain things that you do, you will never be able to change them. Now, most people, they will speak Lashon Hara because they don't see that it's bad. Why don't you run into the highway when there's 6 lanes and the speed limit is 120 miles an hour? Why wouldn't you run through the highway? What are you talking about? I'm going to be dead in a second. So you define in your mind that that is bad. So define in your mind that Lashon Hara is bad. Define in your mind that missing Kriyat Shema is bad. Now be honest with yourself. How many times the last month you missed Kriyat Shema in the right time? Be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell me. How many times? Once, 2 times, 10 times, maybe nothing. But let's say you got to the answer that you missed 5 times. Then you don't have it programmed in your mind that not to say Kriyat Shema is bad. Now I'm not going to elaborate on that. You got the point. The change starts when you clearly define what's good and what's bad. There's no middle, by the way. A little bit good. It's only good, bad. What is the definition of good or bad? We have the Sefer Torah to tell us what's good and bad. You don't make up in your mind what's good and bad. Because a lot of people in their mind, to kill, to steal, to slander, it's totally good. It's for the greater good. It's for the benefit of everybody, right? So you don't know, you consult the Torah. The Torah will tell you. But it has to be clear definitions. Now again, I'm talking about right now, I gave an example of Lashon Hara and Kriyat Shema, but also to gamble. Is that in some people's mind, they'll be like, no, that's 100% bad. Some other people says, what's the big deal? A little bit of fun. Just to relax. What's the big deal? $100, $200, $50,000. Who's counting? So again, the definition has to be what's good and what's bad. And I know now I'm throwing a lot of things into the air. Now we're going to have to slowly learn it. I'm just now painting the picture. Now, the key is to understand that I'm not in the right place. The change starts when I make a clear definition what's good and what's bad. Because when I have the bad things defined, then I start being aware of that. So I can start working on that. Now, in order for me to make a change, my will, my desire has to change. When I understand what's bad for me, then I can start changing that. So if Chas v'Shalom, a person gets a heart attack because he smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and then in the hospital, in the ICU, he understands that the cigarettes are bad, and because of that he stops smoking, then that's what causes you to think, okay, the cigarettes are bad, I gotta stop. Now if a person has a problem, doesn't matter right now, and he doesn't understand that it's bad for him, then it's not going to work. The change is not going to work. So the main change is in my desire. Listen, I also want to do a lot of things. I told you last week, I met a friend. He told me, don't you want to do this and that? Of course, he was much more open. He wasn't saying this and that. He was saying the this and the that. But I told him, well, here's the thing, I'm not going to kid you. Of course, there's certain things that I would want to do. Of course, there's certain things that I can tell you I miss or not. Some things I know, but he's like, why wouldn't you do this and that? And I said, because I know it's not good for me. Do you want me to lie to you? No, I know. Of course I miss certain things from my past. But at least now the definition changed. I know that these things are bad for me. They're not going to do any benefit. I'll enjoy it for 3 hours and that's it. And then it's going to make a problem. And needless to say that once you go back, to climb back out now. So I need to understand very clear what's bad for me. Now, a lot of people will say, okay, I understand that A, B, and C is bad, but I don't understand why this is bad. Okay, so start working on it. And if a person speaks Lashon Hara and he doesn't understand that it's bad, because if he would understand that it's bad, he wouldn't speak Lashon Hara. Then you have to start defining, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And I'm throwing Lashon Hara, it's everything, by the way. And it's also my opinions and everything. But again, like I told you, first stage is not so easy. But now we're kind of laying down the foundation. And most important is that I need to want to change. If you don't want to change, it's not going to work. End of story. There's not much to elaborate on that. You need to want the change. That's why most people who do Teshuvah is when the Kadosh Baruch Hu takes them to the pit of this world. So there's no other way to go. As David HaMelech says, "Mima'amakrim karticha Hashem." From the depth I've called you. Because there's nowhere worse to go from that. When you find yourself with a needle in your hand in an alley, you know there's no other place to go. Either to the grave or up. And I'm just giving one example out of many. I know an individual that had a lot of money, and now the mafia is after him to kill him and his family because he lost everything in gambling. And when you're getting death threats to your kids that they're going to be killed, that's when a person starts realizing, wow, what did I get myself into? So again, the examples are many, but you got the point, and we're going to continue. I'm just going to make a point that most people don't really want to change. That's the problem. Very few people really want to change. That's why 20% went out of Mitzrayim. 80% says, I don't want to change. And why? Because the nature of human is to be pulled after pleasures. That's it. We are a creature that wants pleasures. For one person, pleasure is alcohol. Another person, pleasure is gambling. Another person, pleasure is food. Another one is all of the above. Another one is women. Another one is... We all have pleasures, and we are pulled after pleasures. And usually, the pleasures, the desire for the pleasure is stronger than my common sense. And this was already, I don't even know the right word, but the Nachash, the serpent, the snake in Gan Eden, he already stuck his teeth and put the venom so deep that you know what he did? That all the bad things that are for me, they taste the best in the beginning. So all the bad things I'm saying that they're bad for me, in the beginning, they're going to be the best. But it's not going to last long. And that's one of the main poisons, what the Nachash did with Chava. He made it in the beginning, wrapped up so good, like a politician. And that's it, but it doesn't last long. And that's the problem with most people, because the desire for the pleasure is stronger than the common sense that it's not good for me. So, unfortunately, most people don't want to change. So they're not going to change. That's why there are few that are able to do real teshuvah and to grow and to go out of their spiritual exile. Now, how do you start the change? I told you there are 3 steps that we're going to need to take. And you have to ask yourself, how do I start the change? And now I'm using the word change, it's / teshuvah, repentance, doing teshuvah. Same idea, teshuvah is change. I'm not going to now analyze the word teshuvah, but when I keep saying change, teshuvah, change, same thing. First of all, like I told you, it has to be in my brain, my intellect, my common sense. What is good and what is bad. And if you don't still have that, start working on that very fast. You can take a cup of water and say, this is good. Take a cup of Coca-Cola, this is bad. I know you like Coca-Cola. I know you can't survive one day without 2 cups of Coca-Cola. But it's bad. Water, good. Coke, bad. Coca-Cola, not the other Coke. But it has to be definition. This is good, this is bad. I didn't tell you right now to start battling your desire. But it has to be tags and definitions, what's good and what's bad. Now, the Baal Shem Tov simplifies that for us. There are 3 stages that we have to go through. It's called Hachna'ah, Havdalah, Hamtakah. I explained that very briefly last week when we talked about the Tikun Midot. Hachna'ah means submission, Havdalah means distinction, Hamtakah means to sweeten. As I told you before, most people don't even pass the first stage. To pass or to master or to, how do you call it when you finish university? You graduate. To graduate stage 1, then you really deserve a diploma. Most people are stuck in stage 1. Hopefully, now in these 40 days, we'll be able to go at least to stage 2. But these are the 3 stages that we have to go through. Hachna'ah, Havdalah, Hamtakah. Just remember it. You don't have to remember the names. Just remember submission, distinction, sweetening. Now, the first one, which is the hardest, we'll try to cover that today as much as possible, is to take any type of tendencies that I have, natural tendencies that I have, and to make them surrender. That's Chachna. Chachna is really submission, but I have to take all my bad tendencies. My tchuna is more like a character trait. Yeah. Character trait, my midot, is to take all these bad ones and to switch them into good ones. And we went through this a little bit last week, if you remember, when we started learning about Tikun midot, which now I'm giving titles. We're going to go very in depth into everything. That's the hardest part. Can you imagine transforming your anger into something positive? And it doesn't mean you get rid of anger. You just direct it to a positive direction. That you get angry, the Yetzer Hara, that he got you off your thoughts while you were praying. So the first of all is to transform or to make your tendencies surrender, that you have 100% control over all these bad inclinations, these attributes and so forth. Now, that can only be done forcefully. There's no other ways to do it. If you have some type of a bad tendency, you have to forcefully overpower it. There's no other way of doing it. And I'm not saying that it's so easy, but let's say, just for the sake of the example, you have a bad habit. You will fall into this bad habit because you don't feel like fighting right now. You will make your own calculation right now to which bad habit that can fit very well to you. But let's say a person has a very bad habit and he's addicted to pornography. And he knows he's a bad place. He knows it's not good. He knows everything. But who has to, now I'm going to start fighting it? I don't know. But you have to put up a fight. This is a bad habit. This is something that a tendency. But you have to fight it. Is it easy? No. I'm just giving one example out of many. Maybe I should give example also for the women. But nevertheless, you got the point. This bad habit, you have to fight forcefully to overpower it. It's not easy. We're going to go through many different tools how to do it. And I'm just giving, again, one example out of many. There are many of them. But again, I'm just kind of laying down the foundation of stage number one. That's why I said that most people, they fail stage number one because they're not able to fight, to put up that fight. They don't have the energy, not the willpower, not the guidance, and not the steps how to do it. The steps to get out of any type of bad tendency, whether it's in this department, that department, it doesn't matter. There's ways to get out of everything. Most people are not educated, and they also don't have the willpower. Like I said before, most people don't want to change. I'm fine here. I'm good here. I'm not bothering any other person. I don't see any disasters coming my direction. Let me just stay in my own swamp, in my own pit. Now, you have to fight. This is only with a fight. This is not going to come that you're just going to sit like this and Hashem is going to be kind enough to tell you, okay, I'm going to get rid of all your bad desires. It's going to be a fight here. And only forcefully you're going to be able to do it. And that's why I said, not so easy. Now, how do you do it? You have to stop doing the negative action. That's how it is. This is the only way to explain it. Stop doing the negative action. Now, what's negative? I told you before. Make a definition to what's negative, what's bad. I use the word bad, negative. If I don't have a clear list of the bad things, then what am I going to fight? So it has to be a list. Okay, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. So we're not going to elaborate too much on that. You got the point. From this point on, it will just be how to do it, and we're going to have to apply many different tools. The next level, when it comes already to Havdalah, distinction, that's you already graduated. You're in a much better level right now. But what is this level? That I feel in my heart what my mind understands. That's not so easy. After 20 years of Teshuvah, to I don't even want to be there. In Hebrew it says lim'os. 20 years ago somebody will come and offer you something and you will jump on it in a second. If now, after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you don't even think of it, disgusts you, You're already in the level of Havdalah. It's a distinction. The good, I'm attracted to. The bad, ugh. Now that's a very high level. That you can't stand this disgusting behavior, whatever it is. And when you're thinking about it, how can I do that? Ugh. It's a very high level. But in this level, this is called your ishtachrut. You're released. That's it. You're not attached to this bad anymore. That's why I said most people are stuck in stage not one. Now, why is it so important that specifically in Elul, that's why we do it? Because very quickly, this is explained by the Ramat Valley. Ramat Valley, I told you, he was a student, a friend of the Ramchal. And he explains that, you all know that on Rosh Hashanah, everything is decided for you, what's going to be for the next year. And we all, on Rosh Hashanah, it's not only decided how much money you're going to make, and where you're going to live, if you're going to get married or not, mi ashir, mi yaneh, who's going to be rich, who's going to be poor. It's also decided what's going to be your nisyonot, what's going to be your challenges for the next year. That's what's decided in Rosh Hashanah. How much challenges are you going to have? Are the challenges going to be this big or this big? Everybody's going to have a packet of challenges. If the challenges are going to be with your livelihood, is it going to be 100,000 or 10,000? So everything is decided. Also and mainly, what are you going to be your challenges? We call it a klipa. Which klipa are you going to have to deal with? Now, the Ramat Valley explains that yes, on Rosh Hashanah is decided what's going to be the klipa you're dealing with or what's going to be your challenges. But you're getting rid of the old one on Rosh Chodesh Elul, and throughout the month of Elul, you are, so to say, designing or preparing what's going to be your challenges. On Rosh Hashanah, it's decided. But throughout the month of Elul, you are auditioning your challenges. That's my chidush, auditioning. You're choosing. So just imagine what a powerful month. I have the ability to kind of choose what are going to be my challenges for the next year. I'm going to have challenges. We're all going to have challenges. Some will have challenges in the health department, some in the financial department, some in the marital department, everybody has their challenges. But throughout the month of Elul, you have the way to kind of define it, prepare it, and on Rosh Hashanah it's going to be decide if yes or not. It's a very powerful month that I can actually convince the Kadosh Baruch Hu and the entire heavenly court what should be my challenges for the next year, of course. And when does this start? Rosh Chodesh Elul. That's already one big, powerful thing to think of. Wait a minute. It's not only Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is going to be decided. On Elul, it's you negotiating, you preparing the deal. And that's already a huge thing. So just to recap real quick. The first stage is Hachna'ah, the submission. You have to overpower all the bad inclinations, the bad thoughts, bad tendencies, and so forth. If you're successful, you reach to the second level. This is called Havdalah. You distinguish, the distinction. You know very clearly in your heart and your mind the good and the bad. It doesn't mean you don't want the bad, but it's a complete separation. And of course, the third one is called Hamtaka, which I wish for all of us to reach to that. Hamtaka means to sweeten something, but really what it means is that you take anything that is bad and you transform it into good. And that's a very high level that we all going to wish for us to reach to that level. That's real Teshuvah. As our sages explain in the Talmud, you can find it in Tractate Sotah, that the zdonot nefchot lezchuyot. The sins transform into merits. But this is what the Zohar calls Teshuvah Ila'ah, high level Teshuvah. That you take anything that is bad and you sweeten it. Well, all you need to do is put a spoon of sugar and mix, right? Or some honey. But the Hamtaka is that the bad becomes good. And you transform all the bad to good. And how is that in practicality? That I control everything that is harmful for me. If anger is harmful for me, I have total control. It doesn't mean that I eradicated the anger. It's still inside. Total in control. anything that is bad for me, from food, from behavior, from thoughts, from actions, it's still there. But you have 100%, not 99, 100% control over it. I told you, I used to smoke for 15 years. I'm not smoking already for almost 20 years. That's 100% control. You look at the cigarette, I don't want it, it's bad for me. Not even in my craziest moment I will think of even taking a cigarette ever again. Because the definition is clear, bad, and it's not 99%, 100% definition bad. I'm sorry. This is a level in that, hamtaka, that's it. There's no question here even. This is a person that is controlling what can be harmful for him. Now I'm giving an example with cigarettes. It can be food, and it can be with your opinions about other people, your lashon hara, your behavior, your jealousy, your anger. Oh, and the list goes long and long. So bottom line, what do we need to do to start the journey? Don't concentrate now on stage 2 and 3. You're concentrating on stage 1 right now, is first of all defining and recognizing the key is that I'm not in a good place. I'm in the wrong place. And that calls for a change. If you're not willing to do the change, you're not interested in the change, then this whole thing is not going to help. It's not going to do anything. And you're going to be one of the many who decides, I don't want to do a change. Okay, maybe in 10 years. Maybe in 5 years, maybe 1 year, I don't know. Maybe chas v'shalom. You know, people make a change when a disaster falls into their life. Don't wait for disasters. So now we have an opportunity, an auspicious time. Why? Because now it's 100 times easier than any other time. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu is very easy access. The energy in the world is completely different. It's a different energy that is also allowing you. But you have to make that switch. A, you have to understand that you're not in the right place. B, you have to make a clear definition what's good and bad in your life. You want to take a piece of paper and write it down, you'll be more successful. But it has to be a clear definition. The bad. The good is good. The bad things in your life. And it can be from a cup of Coca-Cola, to a cigarette, to gambling, to lashon hara, to stealing, to whatever it is. But it's bad for you, has to come with a clear definition, a red flag on it, bad. That you're going to be afraid of that thing. You're going to be far away from it, moving yourself away from it like fire. Yareg v'bal yavor. Yareg v'bal yavor is that you're going to chas v'shalom, get killed, but don't do that sin. I already spoke about that in the other 40-day journey. That we do not take the right precautions for things that are real bad. But you have to make a real definition. You have to sit with yourself for 20 minutes, 20 hours, whatever it takes, to make a clear definition of the bad, that you are in the wrong place, and now you're going to have to really fight it. If not, the teshuvah is not real teshuvah. And our point here is to do real teshuvah. That by Yom Kippur I can come and say, that's it, I did teshuvah. What's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know. I did teshuvah for today. B'ezrat Hashem, easier said than done. I didn't want this class to be so long, but it's very important that you understand what are you going into. And now when we're going into, if you decide to go into, and like I told you, you use the key to go through the first gate, now we can start learning more practical things, now how to apply it. Because you're going to have to get a lot of knockouts before you're able to overpower the first level. Like a video game. To get till the next, how do you call it, the next level, the next screen, whatever it is, you're going to have to lose a few times. And in our world, it's going to be knocked down a few times. But the ones who win are the ones who don't stay on the floor. They get up and they don't give up. And teshuvah is not easy to do, but that's what we are required to do. Especially that any moment Mashiach is coming, and we need as many people to do teshuvah, not for their own personal good, for the entire human race, to kind of balance the world. The teshuvah is our ticket out of the exile. So B'ezrat Hashem, all that's left is to wish us a successful journey. And then may Hashem have a lot of mercy on us to guide us and to give us the right desire, the tool, the will, the koach, the power to stand the fight. It's not an easy fight. Teshuvah is not an easy thing. Very few people are able to do real teshuvah. But with the right guidance, with the right desire, and with the right blessing from the Kadosh Baruch Hu, it can be done. B'ezrat Hashem, where others failed, we will succeed.